This is a paid advertisement on behalf of CopperQuest. What's going on, guys? This is Aaron from Departures Capital, and we're here with Joshua White, U.S. Technical Advisor at CopperQuest. Pleasure to have you on today, Joshua. How you doing?
Well, thank you, Aaron.
Yeah, so I'm excited to be talking about the company, especially, in this environment. Copper's done really well this year. So can you start by giving us a bit of a background on yourself and the Nakash property, its history, how it was identified, and what initially drew you and CopperQuest team to it?
Yeah, absolutely. So as soon as I got out of the Marine Corps when I was young, I went straight to university, undergrad at the University of Wyoming, and a master's degree at Montana Tech, all in geology. Right out of school, I went to work for Kinross in graduate development program they had at the time, Generation Gold. That was extraordinary. I worked around the world, spent about a year up in Alaska, then a year in West Africa, a year in Russia, and a year in Brazil after that. And left Kinross in late 2016 and became a consultant and entrepreneur at that point. And I have spent the majority of my time since here in the state of Idaho, where I live, prospecting and developing properties and just learning more about the geology and how much opportunity we have here.
So you were directly involved as the vendor of Nakash. Can you tell us more about that process, how this partnership with CopperQuest came together, and what motivated you to stay on as a U.S. technical advisor?
Yeah, absolutely. So the partnership was serendipity. A friend of mine, Chad McMillan, he was working with CopperQuest at that point, who was looking for U.S. copper assets. I'm the president and CEO of a company called Lightning Creek Gold Corp, which was the vendor of Nakash, and we were at the time looking for a partner on that project. And so Chad facilitated it. It worked out perfectly. They're the ideal partner. They've got the capital to explore it. And my decision to stay on as a technical advisor is the fact that I love the property. I really believe in it, think there is, potentially a discovery to be had, and I really want to be involved in that. I want to guide this exploration process as we go forward.
Very exciting. So from a technical perspective then, what makes the Nakash project stand out within the broader copper exploration landscape in the region? Like, are there any key geological features or early indicators that excite you the most?
There are. So before I get into the geologic features and what's so interesting about the project, I first want to point out that it's early stage, meaning that it's never been drilled. So in this industry, what we see a lot are what we call retreads, projects that have been drilled and re-drilled and looked at time and again every cycle in the metal price, right? But this one is not like that. So we have a lot of positive geologic indicators at the surface, and to the best of our knowledge through our research, it's never been drilled. So what's underneath there, if there is in fact a porphyry copper at depth, it's waiting to be discovered. And the geologic characteristics that we find at the surface that are so interesting are there's a couple, but one is it's historic prospects all across the hillside. Two, we have placer gold districts on both sides. So the project is more or less centered on a ridge line, and there's placer gold coming off of both sides of this hill. The U.S. Bureau of Mines, they did some prospecting out there in the late 1980s, early 1990s, and they collected a channel sample. It's actually a chip channel, is how they describe it, I believe. But it was over 6 meters at 3.8% copper on the project on an outcrop. So it's pretty extraordinary. That area it's what we interpret to be a manto, a porphyry related manto, but high grade. In addition, there's also gold and silver in that particular area. And then as we move across the hillside, we find abundant porphyry style veining that carries copper and gold and silver as well. So a lot of mineralization at the surface, and there's no data on the subsurface. So it's very exciting. There's a lot of opportunity to get in there and do geophysics and do some drilling and see what the earth holds.
The most exciting part of exploration, right? So what kind of exploration work has been completed to date on Nakash, and what are the next major steps planned for the project heading into this upcoming field season?
That's a good question. Exploration to date has been early grassroots. We have had boots on the ground. I personally have been on the project. So has Brian, the CEO of CopperQuest. We've walked it. Haven't done a detailed map, but we've done some mapping, and we've collected a soil grid on the current land package. Those soils are awaiting shipment to the lab, so with a little luck, we'll have the results on that relatively quick. Um, but what's planned is we are in the process right now of finding contractors to execute one, a geophysical program. Ideally, we'd like to get airborne magnetics and potentially some electromagnetics, a VTEM type survey.
Great. So looking ahead, what's the broader vision for Nakash in terms of advancing it towards discovery and development? How does it fit into CopperQuest's long-term growth strategy in the US as well?
That's an excellent question. The target is a buried porphyry copper, and we have indications on the surface that there may be one there. So, our goal initially is to use geophysics, AI interpretation to drive a drill program to hopefully make a discovery of a brand new porphyry copper system in the United States. If that happens, that would validate CopperQuest business model. We can look at new porphyry copper discoveries. They're rare and they're exceedingly valuable. The Hercules discovery in the state of Idaho in 2023 is a prime example of that.
Great. Well, thank you, Joshua, for all that information. It's an exciting time for Copper, exciting time for the company. You clearly have a lot going on, so I look forward to covering this story. This is just the start, our first video, and best of luck this fall season. And we'll have to have you back on for more updates.
Excellent. Thank you, Aaron. It's been a pleasure. Nice to chat with you today.